Colonel, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
It's been a long time coming.
It has.
What's the moment feel like?
I'm just surrounded by everything that's good. And I feel very comfortable, and it took a while. It took a long while, but it's here. And I'm really proud to be an American.
I've read the accounts of the battle. It sounds like it was a seesaw, and that ultimately you kicked over a hornet's nest. Is that a fair characterization?
Well, I think it really is, but there were a lot of bees in that hornet's nest.
Can you describe to me what the counterattack was like?
The battle lasted about 2.5 days. It was almost picture perfect in terms of when we got there, what we expected. And we were doing very nicely and sort of congratulating ourselves because we had caught them by surprise. They weren't ready. The guards we were able to capture. The forces were spread out. And when they did try to counterattack, we were ready for them and did a fairly good job. And so we were clapping and yelling and screaming and really happy of what was going on. And then it happened. The bugles started playing, and we knew that the counterattack was coming. And that's when the battle took a different shape, because there were so many of them that it was really hard to figure out where you wanted to go first. The enemy lost a lot, and then the enemy lost fewer, and we lost a lot. So the battle equalized itself in a sense.
There were 4 Americans, including yourself.
4 Americans, including ourselves.
And at some point, 3 of the other Americans, and yourself actually, were wounded.
They weren't together, and they were spread out. And the only way I knew that something was awry is the fact that I didn't see the amount of firepower that I was expecting from the different groups at different locations. And so it caught my ear before it caught my eye. And the first person I noticed was Brown, one of our medics. And when I found out that he wasn't there, I noticed that Team Sergeant Wall was missing too. We were running out of ammunition at the same time. I had called in for more ammunition, and Sergeant Reinberg, brought the ammunition by helicopter in. And as soon as he landed and put the ammunition on the ground, he stood up and took 2 rounds right in his chest, actually fell into my arms. We were able to get Reinberg back on one of the helicopters that brought the ammunition in.
I noticed in telling the story, you haven't mentioned that you were wounded.
Yes, I was. But I tell you, there are wounds, and then there are other wounds, and then other wounds on top of other wounds. So the thing is, you forget about me and you think about thee. And the thing was, when I realized that Brown was not there, and he was maybe 150 yards or so, to crawl out there and get him under fire.
So you crawled to get him?
I crawled to get him.
You had suffered shrapnel damage from a grenade?
Absolutely. In fact, knocked out some of my teeth, and
your trigger finger.
And my trigger finger
was shot off.
Yeah. So, anyhow, I finally got to Brown, crawling out there with all this stuff, and I'll tell you, it hurt, but it didn't hurt that much that I was stopped. And once I got out there, Brown said to me, after I looked at him and found out that bullet was right by his temple. He said to me, "Sir, am I going to die?" And I remember saying to him, "Not before me."
So you saw it to all 3 of your men?
Yes.
Even as you were suffering?
Yes. The next one was William Wall. He was a team sergeant. Pulled him as hard as I could out of that hole and had him to take his one good leg and wrap it around my body so we could start finding a way to get from where we were to the next chopper.
You accept that your actions were heroic that day?
I didn't know they were that heroic that day, because I didn't have a sense for what had happened, I was thinking about what we needed to do. That's God's truth. I never even thought about the medal then.
We now know that the file, the paperwork for your Medal of Honor kept getting lost. Do you think that was accidental?
You know, it's when you think about the amount of time that lapsed between the time the medal was lost the first time and then the second time, you want to say, is the Army that sloppy? And you say no. So you just wonder what happened. And it's the soldiers who collectively were getting this voice to let people know that something had gone awry, that things like this don't just happen. I let them speak for me because they had a better sense of what was going on.
Do you think it was racial?
I didn't think it was racial initially. The Greek chorus, now I'm talking about the soldiers that were there, told me it was racial. They had a better feel for what was going on. And I'll tell you, something like that eats at you. And there was a point in time when I said to the chorus, you don't have to speak anymore. I understand what you're saying. Yes, something happened that shouldn't have happened.
Today is your day, and so many people work so hard for you to get this recognition that you deserve. Did you fear that it would never happen?
I forgot that it could happen. And all of a sudden, people that were in my team and others got together and made it happen.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.